Oh my god, guys. Last night I finally saw Blood and Sun live, and to put it lightly, the show was pretty fucking awesome, to say the very least. But yeah, out of nowhere, Luke Tromazak just messaged me on Instagram telling me that he's doing a show in Massachusetts, like last minute inviting me, and it was a very, very pleasant surprise, to say the very least, to see him and just to finally go to a live show for the first time in like almost 2 years. It's been quite a drought of seeing shows for me lately. But anyway, more importantly, we're getting back to my vinyl collection series. This is part 37. We're going to be still within the R's within this portion of my collection. And other than that, what's going to be playing in the background is going to be the sophomore full-length album by Follow Bane. This is incredible symphonic melodic death metal from Japan. Honestly, to put it lightly, it's intestine balsam with keyboards, and it's just so unnecessarily godly. Like, Jesus Christ, if this has a vinyl press anytime in the near future, I'll probably pass out with excitement. But do not sleep on this, guys. Again, there is ass-kicking melodic death metal out there. Kicking off part 37 is going to be back into my Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes collection. This is the split they did with Conflict. This is the first ever bit of material I ever heard from either of these bands, and for me, you know, after listening to it a few times, it's really tough to say which side I actually prefer, because this is one of the very, very, very rare times Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes did a split with the other band being actually good. But Conflict is great because Conflict is a war metal band, I guess you could call it that blends like death industrial and noise within their sound from Sri Lanka. And this shit is like malicious, but not just malicious because it's about war, it's like genuinely malicious, where I feel like their whole purpose is to like assault your eardrums. It's a wild ride, to say the least, that makes a lot of extreme bands that people consider extreme seem tamed. Like, Conflict is the real fucking deal, to say the least. And Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes, I've always been a fan of them. Again, I just love the combination of black metal and grindcore. That, to put it short, they're like the black metal version of the Berserker or the raw black metal version of Anonymous Rock, and I've always been a fan of both those bands. But yeah, this release is the total package, I feel like, for both of these groups right here, and it's awesome that it did get a repress, or it finally got a vinyl press, I should say, but back in either like 2018 or 17. This was co-released by Cyclopean Eye, but I'm pretty sure it's like the Witch's Brew who distributed it, and I'm not sure if it's still available. Might be long gone sold out, but yeah, I think it's the total package, like I said, for both of these bands. Anyway, for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings and band logos. Comes on a standard black vinyl along with an insert sheet with just like credits of the band names on both sides, and that's really about it. Pretty sure this is limited to 300 copies. Jesus Christ, this is only the second record and it's already gonna be a bunch of sketch. But continuing on with even more Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes, this is their three-way split between Massen Vernichtung and Via Dolorosa. Via Dolorosa. I'm pretty sure it's the right way to say it. I really don't feel like I need to get into any description about what the themes are with something like this. But, like, I'm not saying this to be a fanboy. Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes is literally the only eventful thing here. Their re-recording of Verminous Uprising is really kick-ass because it has like almost like a slammy kind of like brutal breakdown in the middle of it, which I don't know, makes the track really fun. But the other two bands, it's like, I'm not trying to play White Knight here to like just like come out of nowhere and shit on NSBM for just to look cool and like a good guy, but like, god damn, it's really bad. Like, holy fuck, this shit is boring bad. Like, feels like a chore to get through the other two, and it's like, ever since I've spun this, I haven't spun it in a while, but every time I do, I'll listen to the Reek side and just stop it immediately. But this was put through Darker Than Black and distributed through Merchant of Death, or as I'd like to say, good luck ever getting that shit, because, like, again, Merchant of Death, the fuck is this dude doing? Like, he hasn't, like, moved or shipped out anything for months, and again, I'm getting other people relating to me saying they've waited like 6 to 8 months and nothing. So again, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Merchant of Death is a no-go. That's a big no-no to shop from, because that dude just seemed to just fall off the face of the earth, essentially. But anyway, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold, and is just on standard black vinyl. Up next is the first ever Reek of the Unzen Gas Tunes LP I ever bought, and that would be this demo compilation that I got at the beginning of 2017, where my obsession with Go to War started for that whole year. And damn, this really takes me back, because looking at the back of the Obi strip, it shows Obscuritate and Vampire's Cacophony advertised, so quite a bit of time has passed since I've gotten this LP. But yeah, I freaked out finally getting Reek of the Unzen Gas Tunes material on vinyl. Was just a big deal for me. And what's cool about this demo compilation is that, yes, it contains all of their early works that were just like exclusively on tape that are impossible to get, but you also get on side B a lot of collaborative works that he did with other projects, such as Antichrist Kramer, Separated Fetus, Xenophobic Ejaculation, and this is a funny story. The other one that he did a collab with is Reptile Womb, and what makes this funny is, if memory serves me right, since this is from a video I took down a while back from all those shit exclusive videos that I made, but when I originally got this, and I did a vinyl update for the first time with it, I was talking about all the bands that I just did that Reek did a collab with, and again, one of them was Reptile Womb. And I described Reptile Womb by accident, because Reptile Womb is kind of like a, I don't know, like blackened, like black metal band that incorporates like power electronics, noise, and death industrial. But by mistake, I said that Reptile Womb is a like black metal band that combines power violence by mistake, like back in 2017 when I got this. And supposedly, the guy behind Reptile Womb saw that video and commented, just flipping out on me, saying, "You called me a power violence band? I'm not that. I'm power electronics. You fucking piece of shit!" Like really like flipping out on me. And I was like, is this really the dude from Reptile Womb? Because I mean, he looks like this. So what is a guy that looks like this, that like watching my channel for whatever reason? I was just completely dumbfounded, like just witnessing that firsthand. But regardless, again, Reptile Womb, black metal, noise, blah 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 blah. But again, bought specifically for the Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes material, as I've always been a fan of them ever since I discovered them. And yeah, that's really about it with this demo comp. As for the layout and packaging, like always, since it's put through Go to Works, it's going to have an Obi strip right on the artwork. Backside comes on a standard black vinyl along with an insert sheet with band logo on one side, additional artwork on the other, and this is hand numbered. I have 116 out of 200. Oh, the splits never end, it seems like, because next up, more Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes. This is their split with Separated Fetus. Separated Fetus is a death metal band, I'm pretty sure from Brazil, that is just really similar to that of Goat Penis, and for some reason the dude from Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes worships Goat Penis, so I think that's a huge reason as to why he was so willing to do a split with this band. Other than that, really with the Reek side, the only thing I'm noticing that's different about them here is they have more of like a noise grind approach and less of like that blackened grind approach, but that's just me being like super nerdy and dorky paying attention to something that minuscule. But yeah, this is the latest thing that Go to Warwick's put out that has Reek attached with it. So had to get it right away. But one thing I was kind of upset about is I put the order in for this the day of my vacation to Yellowstone, and that was back in September, and I only got this like 3 weeks ago, so quite the fucking delay to say the very least. Like, this was in customs hell, like to the absolute maximum or something. I've never waited that long for a record, so yikes, to say the very least. But anyway, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings, comes on a gatefold, and this just comes on a standard black vinyl. And I'm showing you a black vinyl because it's been like 5 records and it's been nothing but black so far. Again, we repeat the process. Another Reek of the Unzen Gasum split. This is their split they did with Thy Sepulchral Moon. That I would say out of all the bands they've done a split with, besides Conflict, this is the best split. Because Thy Sepulchral Moon is an international black and death metal band that has members from Canada and South Korea. And what makes that quite the standout is the guy from South Korea, I haven't talked to him in years and years and years. I know his nickname was Moon. I forget like his actual name, but he was also in the project Aqui, which I showed that back in like part 1 of this series, and it sucks. Like, he just dropped off the face of the earth, and all of his projects are inactive. And he was kind of like a standout like black metal musician from South Korea, out of all places. But yeah, so right now I'm pretty sure Thy Sepulchral Moon is inactive. But if you like Beharit, I know that's like a cliche kind of comparison, you'll definitely dig Thy Sepulchral Moon from all their standalone releases, because I'm pretty sure Signal Rex still carries them, and there's some really good stuff. As for the Reek of the Unzen Gasum side, the one thing that really stood out about it is they have a cover from Tokyo Carcass, Attack the Vote. And to hear Reek of the Unzen Gasums have melody with their black and grindcore sound, it is so ungodly infectious, and I fucking love it. And yeah, that's about it, because there's not that much material on this split. But anyway, as for the layout and packaging, like always, it's Go to Warwick, so it's going to have an Obi strip with the album artwork, backside with the track listings, another standard black vinyl, along with an insert sheet with artwork on one side and credits for Thy Sepulchral Moon with lyrics on the other. Second to last with the Reek of the Unzen Gasums material is going to be their debut full-length album that is self-titled. I was so hyped for this when it was going to be released, because I was like, finally, no more demos, no more EPs, no more splits especially, and we're finally going to have a full-blown album by Reek of the Unzen Gasums. And here I am, obviously showcasing that I'm pretty much a die-hard fan of them, and I'm going to admit it, I'm kind of disappointed of this, because this is not a full-length album of all new material. This is more like a compilation with just re-recordings where the songs are a bit more compressed and not as harsh. Not like it's anything soothing. I mean, it's still like black metal, industrial, and grindcore hitting at you, but it's just more compressed to kind of fit like a full-length format. And I was just really bummed. I was just hoping it's like finally just all new material, and it's just like, again, all the stuff I've heard before, just different takes of it. So I know it's labeled a full-length album. The band calls it a full-length. On the Metal Archives, it's a full-length. It was advertised as a full-length on Go to Warwick's. But to me, as a fan, this is a compilation and nothing more. Like, I don't think I truly have yet to feel like they've actually released a legitimate full-length album. So, again, pretty bummed to say the very least with this. But it's got all the stuff I've heard before, so there's no point like wasting my breath discussing it. As for the layout and packaging, however, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes on a standard black vinyl along with an insert sheet that's kind of like made out like a zine, which is really cool with really sick and twisted looking imagery. lyrics that are all in Japanese, but it's still really cool to go through it. Okay, and last, Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes material is going to be their latest release, that being the two-way split between obviously Reek and Grizzly Fetish. And holy hell, let me tell you, Grizzly Fetish is such an ass-kicking band from Japan that it's a part like the inner circle, Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes, so I'm pretty sure it shares members. And the demos that they've released are so awesome. Again, it's kind of like black metal and grindcore, similar to that of Reek, but just way more melodic. They added so much more melody to it. And so far, everything they've done, I'm pretty sure they've done 3 releases, 2 demos, and this. All of it is honestly ranging from good to great for my personal taste. So, I don't know, if you just like, Japan's take with extreme music, definitely I urge you to check out Grizzly Fetish. As for the Reek side, again, I'm pretty disappointed because all this is, I thought it'd be something new, something a little bit different. It's just re-recordings of old songs, but it's just like the straight out, blown out power electronics noise takes. So think of like any material that you're familiar with them, is if you're a nerd like me about Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes. Like, what do we got? We got, Dehumanizing Cesspool for Future of Humanity. That showcases to you how much I listen to this band. I just know that song off the top of my head. So this is the molested version of it. And by molested version, it's just harsh noise over it. So it's like, I'm trying to focus on the melody of the song, but then like just noise cutting through it. So it's like, I don't know. It's like, I'm kind of disappointed again with Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes on here. Thankfully, the Grizzly Fetish side makes up for it, and it's worth getting. This was put out through Death Hymns, and by the way, this label is killing it because their next wave, they're going to release the debut full-length album by El Herrera on vinyl, and I'm freaking out on that because that is easily one of the best USBM bands that I know. I can't stress it enough. If you're a raw black metal fan but you love melody, you love it being lush, I urge you to check out Death Hymns and keep up with El Herrera because, it's so good, I can't wait. But for the people who like collecting Reek of the Unzen Gas Fumes material like myself, this split is still available on Death Hymns. Now, as for the layout, it's pretty cheap, which I'm a little bit upset about because usually Death Hymns does a really good job with their layout. Not here because it's in that fold-out paper. Hate this shit. Can't stress enough how much I hate it. Standard black vinyl along with a little insert sheet with just all credits about the bands. And that's basically it. So we go from like a marathon on war grind to just classic grind. Next up is Repulsion with their legendary debut full-length album, Horrified. Guys, if you are a grindcore fan and you don't know this, shame on fucking you. This is an essential grindcore album. That's not even a hot take. Like, this is arguably one of the first ever bands to put together both death metal and grindcore. It's arguably the first ever death grind album, which is why a lot of people consider it the first true grindcore album. Regardless, I don't care about like those types of like names we attach with it. Just the overall album itself is so ass-kicking, alright? It's got riffs for days, killer vocals, pummeling blast beats, the works. It's so simplistic in nature, but just so memorable at the same time. It's like, it's one of those albums that just gets praised to death, and it deserves it all these decades later. Like, I'm preaching to the choir at this point, describing it, but you guys should all know this album point fucking blank. And thankfully, Relapse has been putting this up on, represses just non-stop, so it's easy to get and worth getting. And again, for anyone who collects extreme music in their vinyl collection, CD collection, tape collection, whatever, you gotta have this within the shelves. Now, as for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with track listings and band photos. This comes with an insert sheet with lyrics on one side and a photo collage of all the band pictures and bandmates on the other. And this vinyl press comes on like swamp green with splatter. It looks really cool. Pretty sure it's limited to 500 copies. Up next is going to be the debut full-length album by Reverorum Ib Malacht. These guys are a very unconventional black metal band from Sweden that's often categorized as Roman Catholic black metal, believe it or not. But in terms of their overall style, I would say from what they have said about their bio is that they are a power trance black metal. I know all these crazy names, and it's like a mixture of like avant-garde, experimental, dark ambience, and like religious ambience, which apparently that's like a style of music mixed with black metal. And it makes for just some really trippy yet creative music overall that, again, I don't know who to compare these guys to other than the best way to put it in perspective is think as if Lingua Ignota were to write De Mysteriis Dom Satanas. If she were to do that, it would sound like Reverorum Ib Malacht albums. Like, that's the only like comparison I can give. And everything this band has done is truly, you know, different and interesting. Some better than the others, because this debut right here, I would say as of right now, is kind of like their weakest within their catalog, because the production of the percussions and riffs are really muffled, so it's like it kind of distracts you from all like the ambience and vocal patterns that come forth. So, I don't know, it just doesn't really, you know, sit right with me, and I can't really digest the album all that well considering the fact that this album runs for 75 minutes long. However, the reason why I got this album is not only to be a completionist, but more the fact that the Ajna Offensive, which this band I'm pretty sure is still signed to, they're selling copies of this for like $7. Like, you can get this dirt cheap. Along with the Arcane Altar is selling this for like, I think under $15, so it's really easy to get price-wise, considering the fact that I just don't think many people know of Reverorum Ib Malacht, and they're having like, I guess, trouble selling it, so yeah, you can get it dirt cheap at the moment. But yeah, not really the place I would start out with them, but still interesting like anything else within their catalog. As for the layout and packaging, however, it's really bare bones. It's just basically all white. So you have album artwork, backside, comes on a gatefold, and it's just on double LP plain black vinyl. Then I have their 2018 full-length album, again by Reverorum Ib Malacht. And I say 2018 full-length album because I have no clue how to even begin to attempt to pronounce the whole album in its entirety. Like, it's a really weird name in a different language. But this is truly where I feel like they peaked with their approach, because this is just a really dark and abstract take for just not only black metal, but just music in general. And I feel like what makes it just so unsettling yet creative is how they, you know, their themes are about Christianity, alright? And it's not, again, like the watered-down Western version of the Christian faith that a lot of people assume that it is, because really, like, the United States and really everything after the Renaissance just progressively kept watering down, like, Christianity. Whereas what Reverorum Ib Malacht is doing is they're looking at, like, Christianity, you know, in the Roman Catholic faith, when it originally started back in like the middle of the 14th century. And really Christianity had more of like an attachment of like themes of that, of like paganism, like mixed in with their you know, writing and literature at first with their beliefs. It's kind of like a branch off of paganism originally. And when you look at like biblically accurate stuff, it's really twisted and trippy, to say the least. I mean, for fuck's sake, look at biblically accurate angels. I mean, I haven't got one tattooed on me recently. And that should give you all the info just from the look of them to just perfectly describe how like misunderstood and how watered down the Christian faith has looked over the centuries that have passed. And just in the literary approach, which I know, I'm sorry, I'm getting way off topic here. I just find Christianity like in an artistic literature approach really interesting, and I guess that's what I find fascinating about Reverorum Ib Malacht, is that they do that in like the black metal form, and just Godspeed to them, because when they make albums like this, it's quite the standout for just extreme music as a whole, not just black metal. That I would say that Mamalik and Reverorum Ib Malacht are the two bands as of right now that are really pushing the boundaries for what you can do within black metal. So do not sleep on this, people. You can get this still on Arcane Altar for like 15 bucks, which is where I got my copy, and I'm amazed this shit is still widely available to get. So again, don't sleep on this. As for the layout and packaging, however, you have album artwork, backside, comes on a standard black vinyl along with an insert sheet with just more additional artwork, notes on the other side, and that's it. And I have even more material by Reverorum Ib Malacht. This is their 2020 full-length album. Again, I'm just going to call it by the years that they're released because all their album titles are just really just odd that I just can't pronounce. But this album, again, another standout for them, because this is where they blend electronics and industrial with their sound. That I would say it's really similar to that of like mid-era Degringolade, where they get all experimental and like really dark with their industrial usage. It's kind of like that in some cases, and Reverorum Ib Malacht's approach is a bit more explosive here. Drums have more blast beats utilized, and it's just more upbeat with, again, like that. I don't want to say like necessarily like a sci-fi approach, because again of like all like electronics and industrial, but again it just reminds me a lot of mid-era Degringolade. So if that sounds appealing, definitely check this out. Although, fair warning, I'm pretty sure it's only available on their Bandcamp, and it's like 90 minutes long, this album. Like, it is quite the doozy to get through, but there's a lot of creative material, like always, with any Reverorum Ib Malacht album, so yeah, it was one of my favorites from 2020. Now, as for the layout and packaging, there's something really cool about this, which I'll show in a second, but as for the front, you have album artwork, backside, and it's limited to 200 copies. I guess they forgot to number mine, so ain't anything over there. This comes on a gatefold. Now, the standout feature about this release, if you buy it new, I can't say if you buy them used, you'll get the same thing, but it comes with these two cards right here. One of them is just, you know, an additional artwork, I guess like a band logo or something like that, which is pretty cool. But the other one is a certificate saying like the Malacht Universal Academic of Ancestral Healing. It'll have your name printed within this to give like a certificate, which is just so odd and different. But yeah, I can't really say any other vinyl that I have includes something like this. As for the vinyl variant, it's double LP that come on white vinyl. And the last record I have at the moment of Reverorum Ib Malacht is their latest album from last year. Did an album review for it, so if you really want to know all my thoughts and all the details about it, check out that review. But for the most part, to simplify it, it's like a really apocalyptic and just urgent sounding like Reverorum Ib Malacht album that just feels catastrophic. It really feels like this massive event of some kind of like apocalypse is happening right before your eyes, and this shit kills. Like, honestly, like for a band that's like has lyrical themes praising Christianity, this shit sounds more menacing than a massive majority of the black metal bands who bash it. Like, that's the thing that just is so eye-opening about this. And it's just so easy to get this because none of their records ever sell out. Like the Agena Offensive, Arcane Altar, and a few other distros, but I know those are the two that always have them in stock and like they never sell out. So widely available. So people, you are sleeping on this band. So again, if you want different and just creative black metal, Reverorum Ib Malacht. Let that name be drilled into your head, because everything this band has done is worthy of checking out. It's like a completely different experience each and every time. That I feel like, again, takes influence of like Blodeuss Nord, but whereas Blodeuss Nord kind of like changes their sound every like, you know, album to a completely different style, this just feels like, you know, you take like the spirit of Blodeuss Nord, but just more consecutive on what your approach wants to be, I guess is another way to put it. Again, if that makes sense, or maybe I'm just rambling words and just blowing steam out of my mouth right now. But yeah, definitely check out Reverorum Ib Malacht. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork. Backside comes on a standard black vinyl along with an insert sheet with artwork on one side and lyrics on the other. Finishing up within this vinyl collection part, up next is going to be the debut full-length album by Rïcïnn. So this is mainly composed by Lorray, who she used to be a part of Igor. Pretty sure the third all the way to the latest full length she contributed her vocals within those albums, but has been kicked out of it since for a lot of like stupid drama reasons from what I saw from like a post last year. Again, it's whatever. But she has a lot of side projects, and one of them right here is Rïcïnn, where she goes down like this neoclassical route with like Baroque and kind of like some experimentation that it's ethereal but done in a very, you know, unorthodox way. It's not as like it is soothing, but it's not just like this gleamy, glossy kind of like ambience and neoclassical that kind of like soothes the listener. It just kind of gives you a bit of like twists and turns that is just unconventional when you think of neoclassical, which is something you would come to expect if you're looking at her discography and realizing that she's been a part of like half of the discography of Igor. So that kind of like rubbed off on her approach with this, to say the real least. And it's really creative stuff. Not something I spend all that much, but considering just how much I enjoy her vocals just in general, because she has a really unique voice that, like, again, it's like operatic, but it can be aggressive at the same time when it needs to be, that I feel like it can appeal to metal fans, even though it's not a metal release this within the slightest. I feel like it can for the most part, because of just how unorthodox it is. But yeah, definitely check out Rïcïnn. Just again, lovely stuff by Lorray once again. Put out through Blood Music. Pretty sure they've kept this in print as they've done represses for it. And I need to get the sophomore and follow-up full-length to this, which I'm pretty sure again is still available on Blood Music. But as for the layout and packaging with this, you have album artwork, backside with all the track listings, comes on a gatefold, and this LP comes on clear smoke, limited to 200 copies. Now this second to last record is just straight up nostalgia for me, that I had in one of my videos of the most meaningful records within my collection, and that would be Rise Against with their full-length album, The Sufferers and The Witness. Holy shit, the amount of times I would listen to this album on my iPod mini was so much, alright? Like, these songs, man, every time, I can never seem to get sick of this album. I know it's kind of like alternative rock that's like radio friendly, but you look at that because of, like, you know, the big singles on here, like Prayer of the Refugee. I mean, that's just, you know, straight up like alternative rock you would find on the radio. But the rest of the album, honestly, there's like a bit of like punk rock and even some hardcore elements on this album, to say the least. Like, I'm pretty sure it's a song Under the Knife, Bricks, The Approaching Curve, Roadside, The Good Left Undone is another great track. God, I already just named like over half the songs on this album. It's just, to me, it's just pure nostalgia for me, and I guess that's why I'm like, you know, just being all giddy about it. But yeah, I remember finding this at a Newberry Comics and bought it without hesitation. And now this repress right here is going for just dumb money online. And the original first press, I seen it go for hundreds, like half $1,000. It's nuts. Like this album alone, in terms of like the LP pressings, go for just dumb money. So I'm glad I got it when I did at Newberry, because now it's really difficult to get. But yeah, this is just, again, like the best of like radio rock around like the late 2000s that I just did not get sick of this album, and I better move on before I start singing and doing the anthem chorus for Prayer of the Refugee. So anyway, as for the layout and packaging with this, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Packaging is really basic because it just comes with a standard black vinyl. And the last record for this vinyl collection part is going to be Rites of Thy Degringolade, an ode to sin. These guys are a Canadian kind of like blackened death metal band that's been active for a while. I know recently, about back in either 2016 or 17, they finally did a follow-up to this. And I'm going to be honest, an ode to sin is by far, no debate for me, their peak. Nothing that they have done before or after this comes even remotely close to just the ass-kicking factor with this album. And it's not just because, ooh, it's, you know, pulverizing and there's riffs. It's like they've kind of like found their footing with this album, where it's not just always just a Black Death assault. There are some tracks on here where they just go for this straight up, like, you know, early 90s kind of like death metal approach that's like memorable, and then it kind of like transitions back with all like the Black Death stuff to get it all pulverizing. So you kind of get a mix, but it still doesn't sacrifice the extreme like sound of, you know, again, both black metal and death metal here. Because tracks on here like In the Name of the Rites, which that is like the best way to kick off an album like this. I love that song. Of Purest Impurity and Totality's Regime. It's like, this stuff is awesome. And I'm one that really does not care for just like the blackened death metal approach. But Rites of Thy Degringolade, an ode to sin. This is just a standout release just because of how ass-kicking it is. So definitely, I strongly recommend checking out specifically this album within their discography. Again, you can get this like on Nuclear War Now, Hell's Headbangers. Really easy to get, and it's worth getting as well. As for the layout and packaging, you have album artwork, backside with the track listings. Comes on a gatefold. This does include a mini poster, basically, of the album artwork and band logo. This comes on a printed inner sleeve, lyrics on one side, and band photo on the other. And this LP edition comes on gray and clear split, which looks pretty cool. Again, still available on the distros of both Nuclear War Now and Hell's Headbangers. Alright guys, that'll do it for this vinyl collection part. Like always, I'll have links provided to everything I've talked about in the description below, and that is that. So like always, make sure you guys drink plenty of water to stay hydrated, and have a great day.